guys, what's going on? It's Ariel, and welcome to my podcast, the first episode of my podcast. I'm not used to just talking without the camera on me, so if I sound awkward at all, you will have to forgive me. But yeah, welcome to the first episode of my podcast called The Casual Nerd, and I'm very happy that you guys are joining me today. What we're going to discuss in this podcast is basically gonna be a introduction to what I'm going to be doing with these podcasts, first and foremost, and then we'll get into the crux of it all. No, not Harry Potter, just the crux of what we're going to be doing. These episodes will not be edited too much, considering the fact that you guys are just going to be seeing my podcast thumbnail up on the screen right now. Ain't it beautiful? I know, it looks wonderful. Thank you, PicMonkey. Actually, hashtag not spons, but if you guys want to make absolutely awesome thumbnails and let your creativity just roam free, PicMonkey is a place to do that, and it's free too. I mean, unless you want to spend money and do that kind of thing, but PicMonkey is great. Or if you have Premiere Pro is definitely a place to do Photoshop and all that kind of thing. Well, Premiere has editing and Photoshop and Lightroom and all that fun stuff. So I have Koya with me. I have a latte that I made because we just got a new Keurig machine, which I'm very happy about. The thing is that, I don't understand. All these Keurig commercials say that, oh, fast and easy. For me, it's just, you give me the instructions and I'm like, wow, why does this have to be so much more difficult than it needs to be? So these podcasts are going to range in content depending on if I get people on my Patreon to submit content or subjects or whatever, maybe where we're going to talk about all that kind of stuff. These are extended tea talks, if you will, where I'm not going to really censor myself all too much. I'm not going to curse, anything like that. By censoring, I'm going to not censor the thoughts that come out of my head, more or less, because with the videos that I have, they're very, so far, with some of them, very scripted, because I have to be careful that the YouTube gods don't get too pissed off at me. So when I say censored content, this is just going to be things that are coming to my mind as I think of them. I don't really have a script for this. I don't really script stuff like this. It's more ad-lib. It's more like, oh, I have a topic, I want to discuss it, let's do it. This makes me think of radio. Listen to the soothing sound of my voice, 88.5666. And if you hear noises in the background, that's probably my cat. He's been doing a lot of awkward shit lately, just saying. He's a little bucket full of crazy. I don't know what it is, but, and I just cursed. Look at me. That didn't take long, did it? So the first topic we're going to get into for today's podcast is multiplayer, because I've wanted to talk about multiplayer for a hot minute. I feel like every time that I discuss something that has to do with multiplayer, people are like, oh my god, it's either a love-hate relationship and you can't hate on the multiplayer. The multiplayer is god. The multiplayer is everything for a lot of people nowadays. But for me, I can't stand multiplayer. I don't know what it is. I think it's just my old schoolness that I can't stand multiplayer. For me, I was raised on you play by yourself. You don't really play with anybody else kind of thing when it comes to video games, because I like to fully immerse myself in a video game. I don't know about you guys, but for me, whenever I think of a video game, I think of third person, I think of RPGs, I think of, the first person shooters and all that kind of stuff. When it comes to multiplayer, you're getting into a very iffy territory, at least for me. That's why I was so kind of peeved whenever I heard that what was it? That, what's that game? Fallout 76 was going to be online for so many other people to play, and I'm like, really? Okay, that's not cool. That was just my thoughts on it, because whenever I think of Fallout, I think of this open world landscape that you can do anything with. You can do absolutely anything you want with it. It's kind of like Red Dead Redemption 2. You have certain limitations, but really it's a free-for-all, if you think about it. There are different things that I really like about each game and each way that it's been compiled and structured and everything like that. And the one thing I will say to play devil's advocate for multiplayer, is that there are certain games that do very well with it, like Fortnite, like Red Dead Redemption 2. Red Dead Redemption 2, I believe, can work very well as a multiplayer. I haven't played it myself in multiplayer or the online beta, but I can just imagine it being a very fun open world multiplayer type platform where it would be so much work for the developer. But then again, we have a lot of games that are a lot of work for developers as well. Take, for example, Fortnite. They need to do patches and repatching and all that kind of stuff 24/7. So when I think of an open world concept that's multiplayer, I think that it's very tricky and it's very iffy territory to go about trying to make something that has a good story, has good intentions behind it. I'll explain what that means in a second. And has a good landscape that is built for multiplayer but still can be fun. And what I mean when I say good intentions is that they're not just doing a multiplayer for the sake of doing a multiplayer. They're doing a multiplayer because they really want everyone involved to have fun and be kind of just in this either chill or hectic environment that can explain the story, but not just explain it with one person. I feel like if you're going to do a multiplayer, it has to only be a multiplayer. You can't just do it as a third person, a first person, or, an RPG that has only a one person perspective. Now, the reason why I don't like multiplayer as much as a lot of people do is because I like enjoying the game for myself. If I'm going to enjoy the game, I want to thoroughly enjoy it with myself. You understand what I mean? So if I'm going into this and I think, multiplayer, this is an interesting concept. I wonder what could be gained from doing this. Yeah, you could have your friends join in. You could have, all this kind of thing happen where, you invite people on to play. But I don't know. I don't think that it's very worth it to have that, because then you get people being assholes and you're just like, oh, friendly fire, kaboosh. Which it's like, okay, I've seen so many people do friendly fire just because they didn't want that person on their team. It's like, oh, sorry, I didn't look where I was going. But you looked where you were going, you thought about it, you planted it in your head, you wanted to kill me, so that's fine, just kill me. I don't have any personal experience with the friendly fire. I've seen it happen so much. Oh goodness, I've seen it happen so much. But it's just this concept of playing with other people, which kind of sounds wrong to begin with. Sorry, a bit of a pervert, excuse me. But I don't know. I mean, for me, I think it kind of ruins gaming, to be honest. The whole concept of multiplayer ruins gaming. And like I said, this is going to be thoughts that come to my head as soon as I say them. I know I'm probably going to get backlash for saying that multiplayer ruins gaming, but still, like I said in the beginning, these are thoughts as they come. I don't really want to filter myself on this podcast because I feel like, that's a bit disingenuous. So, that's the opinion that you're gonna get from me, is that I think multiplayer ruins gaming. It can be fun if you're doing like Mario Kart or something really simple, but if you're doing something where it involves strategy, it involves your smarts, it involves everything in the world in order to complete a certain mission or a certain task, I don't want someone effing up what could have been something really great, the concept of playing with other people, it's really, I can't get that thought out of my head that's a dirty thing to say. Ooh, the concept of playing with other people, ooh, snap. The concept of playing video games with other people, it makes, it makes for a very hectic, competitive environment, at least for me. I know for example, whenever Resident Evil 6 came out, everybody was up in, just everybody was so pissed off that it was multiplayer. And I understand why. Resident Evil is not a multiplayer game. It is not a multiplayer type platform. It is this psychological horror endeavor that you throw yourself into willingly to experience the horror from a third person perspective, or now what they did in Resident Evil 7, a first person perspective, and what they did in Resident Evil 2, a third person perspective, again because they're trying to keep the same vibe as what Mikami created for the game back in 1996, if I remember correctly, but I believe that the second game was released in 98. I don't have any notes or anything with me right now, so I'm just going purely off of my memory. And it's even weirder. I've never done a podcast before, but I'm still doing hand motions and everything like that as if I were, talking on camera. I've been doing this for almost 3 years now, I still can't get the thought out of my head that, oh, you have to make yourself look presentable for these podcasts. It's like, nah, ho, they're not seeing you. They're not even seeing you right now. So I mean, you know, I could be wearing nothing, or I could be wearing pajamas for all you guys know. You have no idea. That's the fun in all this. I am having a latte and I am enjoying myself doing these podcasts. The main thought that I want to project out there is that multiplayer is good if it's used correctly. I feel like in the case of Resident Evil 6, it was used kind of like this whim almost, because Mikami didn't get to use it at first. He really wanted the game to be multiplayer when it first came out, but because the technological advances were not available back in the 90s, he really couldn't. So now that it was available, I feel like he got excited and he wanted to have that as one of the main focal points for the game. And then he realized, oh snap, oh diggity, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. It's supposed to say third person or first person. I was really surprised that worked out as first person. It's not even third person. It's like this pointed up camera perspective that you're seeing. You're seeing basically the character from its head down. You're not seeing it from first person. You're not seeing it kind of like as a third person. I don't know exactly what to call it, but let me know down in the comments below if you guys have noticed that as well, or if it was just me that you're basically seeing the camera, you're seeing the person rather from like this upward camera kind of angle that's like, oh snap, you got really good hair today, but I didn't want to see it from this drastic of an angle. You know, I told you that my thoughts are going to be all over the place. This is going to be very jumbled up, but you know what, hopefully enjoyable for you guys. And for these podcasts, I'm hopefully going to get some guests on here, because this it really is the kind of thing where you need to have more than one person. If you know what, see, podcasts can be multiplayer. Podcasts can definitely be multiplayer. So I hope you guys are having a good day today. My day is going very well. My dad is currently yelling at Trump on the television, calling him a liar. So you know what, it's you know, just a day in the life of my house. My mom is currently cooking something right now for dinner. I'm currently with you guys, escaping reality because I don't want to be involved with politics and my family. That's just a mixture that you don't want to get involved in, honestly. And I had almost an entire bag of cheese puffs last night. Well, technically I did, because after my parents went to sleep, I finished off the entire bag. So, you know, it is what it is, and I'm not regretting a single moment. But yeah, I think that'll be it for today's episode of the podcast. If you guys have any questions, any comments, anything that you guys want to ask, feel free to do that down in the comments below. And on Patreon, I totally forgot to get the tier set up, but that'll be happening today, where you guys can request topics that you guys want to see me talk about. These are basically free-for-alls when it comes down to it, because I love talking about gaming and I want to be able to have you know, more time to do that besides the condensed parts that I give myself for the tea talks. So yeah, definitely let me know what you guys want to see more of in these podcasts, and I will definitely try to combine them with something that I think is interesting, that you guys will like, that you guys can vibe with. So I'm really excited about it. I think that this is going to be a new venture and it'll work out swimmingly. But yeah, if you guys like my face and what I do, considering the fact that you can't see my face right now, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell down below, because I make videos every weekday, and I'm thinking of these podcasts being every Saturday or every other Saturday, depending on how busy I get and how hectic it gets around here. But stay casually nerdy, you guys, and I will talk to you all in Monday's video. Peace, you guys.